Tell me about your first
So-
real heartbreak.
This girl we dated for like 7 days, literally. I told her I loved her and she freaked out and dumped me. I can never keep it in. Like, I've never been like,
Interesting.
you hear about like guys who like, or even girls, like people who just like
course.
become, like stay friends for like 6 years and are just holding this like,
Yeah.
you know, love for somebody inside. Like, I could never, मेरे एक हफ्ता भी नहीं होता. A good partner like is not just somebody you fall in love with them, but like you also fall more in love with yourself. The fact that I'm like dark skinned, that was like a thing in school. You just don't feel as comfortable in your like body. You don't feel good about yourself. I don't think anybody's ever been able to make me feel truly safe. I had to actually figure out how to do it for myself. So I think at some point I reached like a breaking point around like my mid-20s and all. It was just a lot. बहुत बार लोगों ने बोला है कि थोड़ा upbeat गाना नहीं गाते हो आप, लेकिन नहीं आता मेरे को.
लोग कहते हैं लड़के एक्सप्रेस नहीं करते, शेयर नहीं करते, केयर नहीं करते, मर्द रो नहीं सकते, मर्द को दर्द नहीं होता, मर्द की मर्दानगी को ऐसे ही जज किया जाता है और फिर एक दिन मर्द को प्यार होता है, मर्द का दिल टूटता है, मर्द को तन्हाई होती है, मर्द को जुदाई बर्दाश्त नहीं होती है. उस दिन फिर मर्द से वो इंसान बन जाता है और फिर वो गजल, शायरी, गीत और गाने ढूंढता है ताकि किसी तरह से उसका अकेलापन कम हो. अगर वो इंडिया का एक जेनजी या मिलेनियल मर्द हो तो काफी ज्यादा चांसेस हैं कि ऐसी एक सिचुएशन में या सिचुएशनशिप में एक सिंगर, सॉन्ग राइटर, म्यूजिशियन के गाने उसकी लाइफ का बैकग्राउंड म्यूजिक बन जाए. Today I'm so excited to have our guest, the same singer, songwriter, musician who makes so many young boys and men feel a little less lonely with his music at all times of day, but especially late at night. Please welcome our 2 a.m. friend Prateek Kuhad. Welcome, Prateek.
Hey man, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. Prateek, welcome to BeAManYaar Season 2 presented by the Man Company. You are the first music guest on our show. मैं इतना excited हूँ आपको. बहुत सारे सवाल हैं मेरे आपके पास, but सबसे पहले हम लोग शुरू करते हैं एक सेक्शन से जिसका नाम है Unboxing Boyhood. तो एक बक्सा आएगा लिटिल उसके अंदर कुछ मेमोरीज होंगी, कुछ नॉस्टैल्जिया होगा, and have a look and tell me what comes to your mind when you see it.
Cool. Should I open it?
Yeah, please.
Oh wow, that's crazy, man. You really got it together. So there's like basically these are like Pink Floyd, Black Sabbath, Pearl Jam, Megadeth, and Nirvana cassettes.
Yeah.
Ek to, you know, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so the first time I think I really started to listening music obsessively was once I had a Walkman.
हाँ.
I had like this orange like Sony Walkman, cassette Walkman basically. And I would just like every night go to sleep listening to it. I remember like my nani telling me once, noticing me like, oh, it's not good for your ears, don't like listen to music, you know, all day long. And every time, you know, कोई भी जैसे guests अगर घर आते थे, तो my parents would be like कि कुछ गा के सुनाओ and all that.
कुछ गा के सुनाओ.
Yeah.
They
And
did
I
that
was
with you?
very happy to sing. तो मैं तो
really?
मतलब I would happily like sing for everybody and all that. I didn't have a problem. I mean, I'd like, you know, when you're that young, you're like,
हाँ, attention
you
मिल
don't
रही
have
है.
any like, you know, conscious of anything or, you know, कोई stress नहीं होता है. And then later on, I kind of got into metal a little bit. I had a metal phase. And I think like most guitar players go through that because metal is really fun to play on the guitar, you know. So once I got my electric guitar, I was like trying to like shred. So I was in like a band briefly in high school where we played a couple of metal songs.
What was the name of your band?
I don't even want to say it.
No, but that's exactly what I want to know.
I don't know. I think somebody else came. I didn't come up with it, but
I'm not judging you, Prateek. ये no judgment space है. This is a safe space.
It was Free Monera. It makes no sense. I don't think it means anything. It's just like two random words with syllables, which kind of means, I don't know.
This was what age?
16, 17?
16,
Yeah. Like last 2 years of school.
Interesting. तो मेरे घर में actually morning में भजन की जगह पहले तो Beatles बजता था. So I am also one of those people जहाँ सुबह उठता था and there was always some English music playing. But मेरा personal जो phase था music का, it was actually not these because I think it was the time where Lucky Ali and Shan were...
That was a big phase in my life too. Yeah.
Tanha Dil was my album, which I think 13-14 के उम्र में मैंने बहुत चलाई है. और एक teenage loneliness जो होती है, तन्हा दिल was just a hard relate for me कि हाँ है मेरा दिल तन्हा.
That was a good song, yeah. I used to listen to like Backstreet Boys also. I mean, everybody did, I guess.
Everybody did.
Definitely, like Lucky Ali was a big one.
Yeah.
Because that's like one Lucky Ali and Strings. A huge Strings fan, huge like Lucky Ali fan.
We have a.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is the dude, I went for this. They played like one. That's crazy that you got this. This is basically like October 2007. I didn't even know that was the date. But like Strings actually played in Jaipur. This one concert.
So I was also actually obsessed with Strings. Actually, मेरे भाई और मेरी bonding बहुत हुई है पाकिस्तानी rock bands में उस समय, because they were the ones who were actually doing the rock scene at that point, right? So you had Junoon was actually the first concert that I've ever attended.
Oh, they played in India?
No. I was in Bahrain at that time.
Okay.
तो वो actually Bahrain आए थे तो मैं उनसे मिला भी हूँ. Euphoria was the big rock band of our times, and Euphoria, of course, Palachan was somebody I just really used to look up.
Also, like Strings was a big one. Jal was a big one for me. Those two, and then like Lucky Ali.
Jal was insane.
Euphoria, Silk Route.
Jal was huge at our time.
Jal was like really big.
वो
आदत. Yeah.
तो बहुत गाया सबने, सब लड़कों ने. अब तो आदत ही है मुझको ऐसे जीने की. Anything else that's bringing back childhood memories? Pictures also, I think, for your childhood.
There's a bunch of pictures here. I don't know how old I am here, but like that's me dressed as Gandhi. This fancy dress at school, you know, was that what it was called? Yeah, right.
हाँ,
like
fancy dress ही होता था.
मेरी मम्मी ने idea दिया होगा, मेरे को याद भी नहीं है. But I do remember like doing that once. This is also just from home. It's my house in Jaipur. This is like, these are my friends I was talking about. These two guys.
What are the stupidest things that you did together?
All kinds of stuff. Just to like bunk school and like go to Nahargarh a lot. Nahargarh is like this fort in Jaipur. Especially in the last couple of years. And there's like one more picture here, right? Like this. This is like a Dio, which would be like pretty random. It's like this scooter. Like this is what like I used to ride around in everywhere in school.
Yeah, underage ही थे, I would imagine.
हाँ मतलब नहीं 16, 17, 16 के बाद I think allowed होता है. नहीं होता क्या?
18 के बाद allowed होता है. Allowed तो 18 के बाद ही होता है.
तो anyway मैं तो कर रहा था. सब लोग सबके पास थे पर scooters actually.
मेरे पास kinetic था.
That's how you like.
Summer vacations के लिए मैं करना लाता था अपने पे नाना नानी के पास, तो उनके पास kinetic था. तो गाड़ी मैंने 18 के बाद सीखी है, but ये सब तो हाँ 14-15 में शुरू हो गया था.
So we would just like a lot of times like 2-3 of us were like in the morning at like 5 a.m. 6 a.m. wake up and like be like कि चलो नाहरगढ़ चलते हैं for no reason. Like we just like drive up all the way there, hang out there, and come back. It's really like any excuse to miss school or like just, you know.
But tell me about the, like my memory of my first concert actually is the first time I was standing really close to very pretty girls. Music actually became the first reason because of which I, interacted with girls. So music, आप obviously exchange करते हो music cassettes. You have recommendations to give. Was that something that also was one of the reasons why music was exciting to you?
I mean, definitely, I think girls was at least part of the reason. Because once I started playing the guitar, like, it's just like groups of people assemble and want to listen to you, especially in school and all. तो उसमें girls भी होती हैं. Then, actually this is a funny story because I think a lot of people might know this also, especially like fans of mine, but first time I tried to learn the guitar, I think I was like 6. I think I tried like for a few days and just gave up, I decided कि नहीं, didn't learn at all. And then that guitar just stayed in a cupboard for the next like 10 years and even before at some point got thrown out. Then 10 years later, when I'm like 16, I think I was in 10th grade, and it was like this whole section of like extra curriculars that you had to take, and you could pick anything, carpentry le sakte ho, electrical, whatever, dance, yoga, like just different skills. Usme ek like music bhi tha. Mere sare friends music mein the. So I joined that, and then like 6 months into it, जब मेरे first exams हुए, my teacher was like कि तुमने कुछ नहीं सीखा है 6 महीने. I'm going to have to fail you and send you to carpentry or something. So I was like, yeah, I don't want to be in carpentry. So then I started taking lessons from a teacher outside of school to learn the guitar, to pass the exam, to stay in the class. That was my incentive to learn the guitar at that point.
Just carpentry नहीं करनी थी.
Like in life generally I had no goal, no focus. Like, you know, I would just like study to like do decently in school, and other than that I just wanted to hang out with my friends and like do stupid stuff.
But you know, I'm wondering what is it like being a young boy in Jaipur? क्योंकि मुझे ये भी आपकी मतलब आप you've grown up with two sisters.
Yeah, I mean, I loved growing up with sisters. I'm very close to my sisters, and like they kind of like definitely like big pillars in my life. You know, both my sisters are like, you know, like have always worked their entire life. Are like super independent, very very like their own people. Like, you know, versus where you hear of a lot in other Indian families where like, you know, women have a more like there's an expectation that, you know, you'll just kind of like be more married and domesticated and
Correct.
stuff. तो ऐसा कुछ बिल्कुल भी नहीं था. And same with like me, like there was not really any expectation in that sense. It was just like the main thing is just like be a good person and be like, you know, passionate about what you want to do and do it well, and like that's about it. There was no like, you know, you need to be successful or rich or anything.
Who were you? Were you closer to one parent over the other growing up?
I'm gonna get in trouble if I like pick somebody.
सब एक ना एक पेरेंट के साथ तो होता है. तो
नहीं, I think I have different relationships with my mother and my father because you know my father was, you know, worked very hard. I mean, still works very hard. He loves his work. You know, he's a lawyer and he really, truly loves it. I think उनने कभी music सुना ही नहीं before I started making music, and then he actually started listening to like my music, and now he's like, you know, he's like a fan of me basically.
That's sweet.
But and he listens to all my music, but my mom was always into music, like very very into music, like growing up and stuff. Into art, is a painter and a poet herself. So just done ton of writing for herself. She paints really well, has an art gallery. She would also like push me into like ye karo, wo karo, origami kar lo, like random skills I learned as a kid. She was a homemaker, was at home kind of holding the fort. But at the same time, she was running an art gallery. Wow. She was like, you know, running a school for underprivileged kids in Jaipur.
Wow.
And like working with like a women's health organization close to my house, like that dealt with like, you know, women from like broken homes and stuff. She's doing all three things like my entire childhood, you know, while doing everything else. So
I think I also became the boy I did because of my mother. I feel like she was very much like your mother, a homemaker, but again had a very sharp creative instinct, a very sharp creative understanding of the world. She would मतलब हमारे घर के मतलब डेकोर वेकोर तो चलो अभी obviously उनका था, but वो you know, vases को paint करती थी. She used to make paintings and put them up, etc., etc. But that helped me, I think, become a little bit more empathetic when I was looking at her be the strong woman that she is, raising us and seeing the love and care that she put in making us the people we are. So I was wondering, were you also a sensitive boy? Were you also an empathetic boy growing up?
Yeah, I think so. I think I've always been like, I felt things really strongly, and like I've heard that I was very, very hyper as a child, like just extremely full of energy. But I also always been like very emotional. Like I remember like even like as a child, like always feeling very, very strongly about ups and downs, you know. If I had a fight with a friend, like it would affect me way stronger than like it would be a huge thing in my head. And then if like something good happened, I would just be absolutely elated, you know. It's like a big chunk of my closest friends are my high school friends, you know, literally people I've known since I was 15. And then everybody else I know is just like acquaintances. Like I can't form like half-assed relationships with people. It's either really, really deep or it's like completely surface level.
And I wonder because I was also quite an emotional boy, and I feel like that's one of the gendered things that even boys face. कि आप you know, boys के लिए expression is not very common as a thing to do, or at least at that time also it definitely wasn't. I remember having being made fun of even within my friend circles that अच्छा ये तो अभी बोलने लग जाएगा, ये तो अभी अच्छा ये बात हो गई, अरे अभी Nikhil will go on for a bit about, you know, how bad he's feeling or how good he's feeling or whatever it is. I used to be like, you know, and that actually put me a little bit off for a very long time. Then I, especially in engineering college, for a few years, I withdrew because I felt like यार ये तो
God, if I'd gone to engineering college, my spirit would have been crushed out of me hard.
Yeah, I very much similar to what would have happened to me had I not found my girlfriend at that time, my wife now. So fortunately for me, I found a person
Yeah.
with whom I could feel safe in that sense. But yeah, tell me more about school. Was it hard to fit in for you? Was
Yeah.
it? Did
Yeah,
you?
definitely. Like I definitely felt like I was not like I was definitely a bit of a weirdo throughout, you know. Especially now that I look back, when you do have a really strong reaction to something and nobody else is having a strong reaction to that thing around you, like you just stand out and it's just like, why is he like making such a big deal out of this? And this is something I feel like I've constantly been told my entire life that just like, you know, just relax. You know what I mean? Like literally even at this photo shoot right now, right before this, like everybody's like just like, you know, just relax. I'm like, I don't know what that means. You know, like I just and now I've like, you know, become actually a lot more relaxed than I used to.
Sure.
But even through my 20s, I was just like very just took everything very seriously. So the good side of that is that when you're doing things, you do it really well. Like I took songwriting really seriously, and that's like one thing I still do. Like it's just like when I was decided that like I want to write good songs, and I was just like, this is the most important thing in the world, you know. See, and then if anybody around me is not taking it seriously, then it's like I would get really upset at that.
Who do you remember the first time someone made you feel safe, or like when you were in a vulnerable place among your friends? What was that like?
Amongst my friends, though, nahi, I've never really actually like. I don't think anybody's ever been able to make me feel truly safe. I had to actually just like figure out how to do it for myself, you know. I eventually like reached around a point where I was just like the only one who can make me feel safe is myself. I don't really like depend on. I don't think it's also like fair beyond a point because if you start like expecting other people to make you safe, it can, you know, and when I say this, I mean at the core of my
Sure,
being. I have
sure.
like really healthy relationships with like a lot of people, you know, but at some like core level, you kind of like born alone and you die alone thing, you know. Ultimately, you get your own back.
I mean, I think there is thank you for saying that. I feel like it's a tough thing to even for all of us to come to terms with. I think a lot of the expectation, at least early on in life, is कि कोई तो होगा जो है जिसके सामने मैं रो सकता हूँ and is going to be the person who is going to give me that comfort. What made you feel comfortable with who you are as a boy, and especially the emotional side of you, the crier in you?
I mean, it's like when I was in first standard, like I had a big crush on a girl. I'm 6 years old, okay? So I remember like coming back to my mom being like, you know, like I'm in love. And it was not like met with like ridicule or like, you know, like she was just like very like nice about it. Like, oh, how, you know, like she gave me a hug and like I remember feeling like really comforted and like I was not getting any attention. So I was a little upset about it as well, you know. So it was like normalized for me to like be in love and like treat it as like a healthy emotion, for example.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
I was the boy who used to fall in love very often in 11, when I was 11, 12, 13. I used to have a lot, and I used to think it's love. I obviously used to think that this is it. There is a girl that I would see, I remember, at least I remember instances of very embarrassing in that sense कि आपको एक कॉरिडोर के अंदर चलती हुई लड़के से प्यार हो गया और आपने टाइमिंग ढूंढ लिया कि किस समय वो जाती है for a loo break or for a recess break or for a period changes, and then you try to match your loo break with her so that you can spot her once in the corridor, and that is love, to be able to see the girl that
Yeah. I always fell in love very easily also. I get it.
tell me about the first one that you still remember very distinctly.
When I was in this play school, I went and told this girl that I love you. Like, this is me at 4 years old. And actually, I think she went and complained to the principal, and then, like, my I was told by my mom, like, you guys just go around like saying that. I was like, I just told her, I just like ran up to her and said like, I love you, I think. ऐसा कुछ हुआ था एक.
That's really early though.
Expressive. It's really early.
Yeah.
I liked somebody like, and I would just like go and tell them straight up. And I continued to do that. I can never keep it in. Like, I've never been like, you hear about like guys who like, you know, or even girls, like people who just like become like stay friends for like 6 years and are just holding this like, you know, love for somebody inside. Like, I could never, मेरे एक हफ्ता भी नहीं होता. Like, it's like, if I like start liking somebody, I'm like, just like, listen, I just need, you need to, this needs to be out in the world. I'm not like gonna be like, I can't hold in emotions at all.
You know,
like, if I'm upset at you about something, like, I can't just keep it in. Like, I'm not gonna like just, you know, pretend that it's okay and be like cordial and stuff. If we're like good friends and we have a fight and like I'm upset about something, but like you don't know I'm upset about you. You will know in like 10 minutes of hanging out with me because I will just be acting weird and I won't be able to help it. And then you'll tell me like, "Kya hua bhai Prateek? Kya hua batao?" And then I'll just blurt it out immediately because I'm just waiting for you to ask me actually. So this is literally my dynamic with every single person in my life. And the same thing with like love or like if I'm happy, I can't hold it in. Like I can't really like hold in emotions.
Very similar to me, but I would also never like ask out girls. I'd just tell girls. So I would not be like, would you go out with me or will you be my girlfriend or whatever. I'd just tell them that I like you or I have a crush on you and now you do with this information what you want. But yeah, tell me like, how would you follow up when you tell something like this and the girl doesn't tell you back? What was that first moment like?
I think that I'd be depressed for a while, you know. Yeah. I think it was a pattern clearly from like age 4, which is why like later on I clearly channeled that energy into writing songs. But yeah, I would get very deeply affected by it, you know.
Tell me about your first real heartbreak.
Like high school mein hua tha, I think. My first relationship wasn't really a relationship. Like it's like this girl we dated for like 7 days literally. And then I told her I loved her in 7 days and she freaked out and dumped me. Like literally this is what happened. She just like got like this is way too fast. And I've just like always been like very अब नहीं है ऐसा इतना obviously, but as a kid and through my 20s I was definitely very like
how old were you when this happened?
16, 17.
But it kind of also was. I know. I mean, I don't want to dial down the seriousness of those moments because I feel like they were felt very deeply, and anything that is felt deeply is also very real, I think. How did you heal from the first time your heart you felt like genuinely broke?
I think I was definitely very sad about it. My father was like traveling somewhere. I think he was going to like Bombay for work or something, and then I just like went along with him. And that was like a trip that like, you know, to me was like a breakup, post-breakup trip. Like I felt good. I was like chilling and shopping. Like I was just hanging out, like, you know, away from it all kind of thing. And then a few months later, I wrote a song about it.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was that your first song?
Yeah, that was one of my earliest songs, yeah. Because I just told this girl I love you. And then she broke up with me. So she freaked out. In the song, I was just trying to say that, like, you know, it's not like infatuation, like I'm actually in love with you kind of thing. Because at the time, I actually thought it was love, which now actually, obviously, it wasn't. She was right. So, you know.
The only time I've written poetry in my life was after my first breakup. And I have had, I have notebooks filled with, you know, heartbreak emotion. And I'd had different poem every day about, you know, how tough it is to deal with this and how, you know, she would not know that my love is real. How did your idea of love evolve after that?
I don't think my idea for love really evolved for like the next 10 years. It was always kind of like that. It's always very emotional. To me, like one big thing is that like whoever your partner is, like what kind of an influence, like how do they influence you? Like over a period of time, are you a better person? Are you a worse person? A good partner, like you should is not just somebody you like you fall in love with them, but like you also fall more in love with yourself.
I love that.
Yeah. I think like a good partner like makes you like yourself more, and I think that is something everybody's dealing with. Like we all have like phases of like self-loathing where we actually like don't like stuff about ourselves. That's what like hurts like us and like our confidence and like motivation to do things and like have like strength to do things. Especially in online now, it's just like so easily said, like love yourself and all. It's like it's a process, you know. It doesn't just like happen. You can't just like say that to yourself, you know. You can keep repeating the words love yourself to yourself, and like you're not necessarily growing if you're actually actively working on it. It's going to take time depending on how deep your scars and your wounds are. And secondly, like, you know, like it's a consistent process, as is anything else in life requires hard work, you know. So that's like a big indicator of like what real love is, I think.
I'm curious to know that if there was any time you felt uncomfortable in your body, in your mind, if you felt like, you know, growing up that you are not enough.
Yeah, I've always felt like that. I still feel like that. And I think like everybody will continue to feel like that. I mean, you just have to kind of make yourself at some level strong enough to cope with it and talk yourself out of that inner monologue, you know, which says it at least. For me, I feel like I have multiple inner monologues going on at the same time, at all times. And some of them are positive, some of them are negative, some of them are like self-loathing, some of them are like hyping me up. Like it's just all over the place. There's like multiple voices going on at the same time. And you know, through all that noise, you have to kind of like figure out which one of it is actually yours, you know.
Do you remember when was the first time you felt uh, like, what was the first thing that you felt about yourself that took you some time to get over in terms of an insecurity?
A lot of small things, yeah. I mean, for example, the fact that I'm like, you know, dark skinned. That was like a thing in school, you know.
In school?
Yeah, like I was like it didn't feel like bullying at the time, you know. Everybody's just like making fun of you and like calling you names, or like, you know, whoever was like, and there was other people also. This has always been a thing in India, right? Like if you're like relatively of like a darker complexion, like you're probably made fun of at some point in your like childhood. But yeah, I mean, I think I'd like came to like really like be actually feel just good about normal about that like in my like late 20s. But it doesn't mean it didn't affect me, clearly, because it took me like all my 20s to like come to terms with that fully, you know. I mean, it's part of the thing that like leads to like body image issues for people. You just don't feel as comfortable in your like body. You don't feel good about yourself, you know. You look at yourself in the mirror, you don't feel like you know, you like what you see, you know. And it's not really like one particular thing, you know. It's like lots of things. Like one day you might come to school with silly hair, you know, you got a bad haircut. And it's like what everybody says to you on that day, it just adds to that, you know, tiny like box of things that make you feel bad about yourself, physically, for example. And then, you know, eventually over time, you like pick those little things out of that box and like face them and like reconcile with them.
Yeah. Did you ever do anything to, so to speak, overcome this? Like, you know, for me, obviously for me, weight was the thing that I used to for the longest time be. मेरा नाम तो मुझे बुलाते नहीं था after a point of time लोग, you know, मोटू मोटा etc. was the basic thing that I was called. And in fact, I've said this on the conversation in BeAManYaar before as well. मेरे लिए तो ये almost एक challenge बन गया था मेरे दिमाग के अंदर that I will work so hard and I will achieve so much that people will not, when they think of me, they'll not think of my weight first, but about how awesome I am first. That was really like my workaholism, or and which became very toxic also, I think, for many times in my 20s. A lot of the conversations you've spoken, how in your 20s, especially in New York, you went through some very deep anxiety. You've spoken about having panic attacks at that time. But what do you think triggered it in such a deep way?
I mean, I still don't know what triggered it, honestly. My life up to then to like coming back to India and becoming a musician full time. That was a huge shift for me, which I think I just didn't realize. So first 4-5 years, I was kind of like struggling only in that sense, you know. It's not really like successful to say. I was doing fine. I had like I took a lot of tiny steps in my career in music. Plus, I'm in like a full new profession. I was lonely. I didn't know anybody. So personally, I'm lonely. Professionally, I'm lonely. I don't know where my career is going. I don't know why I'm even doing this in the first place. Severe self-doubt कि यार कुछ होगा कि नहीं. Like, am I a complete idiot for like, quitting everything and taking this year off? Like, there's just like all these like questions. And compounded with my already like overactive, like inner monologue driven brain, it was just like chaos fully inside internally. So I think at some point I reached like a breaking point and like, like around like my mid 20s and all, just it was just a lot, So, but I didn't really like do anything about it, honestly. Then I started like reading up about it, because mental health is also kind of like a mix of like physical and actual mental, right? So you have to attack both sides. So you like try to physically be healthier and at the same time, also start tackling like whatever the mental things are that are making it worse. So I always like knew how to kind of like meditate. So that's like one tool I've used on and off in my life, Music itself has always been very, very like healing for me. Like just sitting and playing the guitar in my own place is like something really calms you down. Listening to music calms you down.
Was it challenging for you to bring this softness here, and then were you being judged for this as well initially?
Definitely, though I remember things like especially the fact that I wanted to put out English music. The most places I was just rejection. Just like कि नहीं नहीं English नहीं Hindi kind of thing. और like बहुत बार लोगों ने बोला है कि ऐसे गाओ थोड़ा upbeat गाना नहीं गाते हो आप. लेकिन नहीं आता मेरे को.
No, but
So I didn't care if anybody criticized my singing because I was like मैं तो singer हूँ ही नहीं. And I still think like that. I don't really consider myself a singer, honestly. My core identity is more like associated. All my effort, everything, I put an effort into like writing good songs. That's what it's about for me. I think there's something really powerful about songs.
If you notice, and again, this is what I feel. Outside of India, a lot of the love and breakup songs come from women. They don't come as much from men. Whereas in India, women are talking more about falling in love and men are talking more about falling out of love. And when you look at, there is no Taylor Swift equivalent in India who's talking about those kind of love songs here. Forget about indie scene. I'm saying Bollywood also.
Bollywood maybe.
How many breakup or, a boy broke my heart songs do you remember? Versus like Ladki ne mera dil toda. How many songs have been about that genre?
That's true. Mainstream maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting question.
Why did you feel like this was what you wanted to talk about and in your songs, and predominantly because your songs have
just happened very naturally. See, my songwriting process itself is very like instinctive.
Yeah.
So I just kind of I started writing as a safe space, and then it like became my profession. Then I had a brief period where I had to figure it out, where I was just like, this is my profession now, which is like not really a safe space anymore. And instinctively when I write, it's just like a lot of it just ends up going in that direction of like looking at love from a kind of like a melancholic side, Sometimes it's not, and it's hard to, because it's never black and white, I have some songs that are clearly about a breakup. Like, Cold Mess is straight up about a breakup. Kasoor is not about a breakup at all. Kasoor is actually about like falling deeply in love with somebody. But it's got some melancholy in it, There are parts of the song where like there are lines which, hint at the fact that like even in all this love, there is like a layer of like melancholy. And like that's just actually how all my music is. Because I just don't think life is like that. We're all hiding feelings of like all kinds at all points, You feel really, really happy about yourself one day, and like the next, like one moment, and like the next moment you might not. And you have a beautiful relationship with your partner maybe, but there are every day there is something where there is a little bit of darkness or a little bit of like distance, and that is just part of it.
Tell me what was clearly your songs come from a place which are felt so deeply, and that's why so many people relate to it across all genders. What was that one relationship that shaped your understanding of what love and heartbreak is? And what happened there?
Every relationship I've had has shaped it in some way or the other. As I said, at college I was quite good overall because I had a very healthy relationship. It's mostly like after college when came back to India, like through my 20s is when I had like a few relationships which were, definitely like had like were not healthy to say per se. There was some toxicity in it, and like they were like challenging, and like there was a lot of up and down kind of thing, and like those breakups kind of hit you hard because you're not just left with the feeling of like the breakup itself, but like over those few years, a bad relationship will make you feel bad about yourself. So suddenly like you have even more like issues to self-loathe about, and you have to it kind of takes you a few steps back on your journey to become a healthier person overall. And at every term I've like recalibrated and like tuned things a little bit. After every like relationship, like I've looked back and tweaked things about myself and worked on things and be like, this didn't work, that didn't work. How do I become better?
Tell me a little bit more about this.
Lots of small things, yeah, like how to communicate better in a relationship, like you look back and feel like sometimes क्या होता है कि आप एक ही चीज गलत करे जा रहे हो सालों तक because you just haven't like faced that part of yourself. But ultimately, like you will have to like dig deep, face your fears, because it's very mixed up also, no? It can go into the territory like, that's the funny thing about self-loathing, right? Like it's really bad to like hate yourself, obviously, it like erodes you at a certain level. But being like blind to your faults is not healthy either, So to be able to separate those two things as two different things, like self-loathing is not good, but like you need to call yourself out sometimes, sometimes you're maybe just being a shitty person. Like then just like you need to call yourself out and be like, yaar, ye sahi nahi hai.
Prateek, does it get complicated for you when you are writing about a relationship that you've come out of, and there are, and that's, I think, like, I don't know, the curse of being an artist. You've only spoken publicly only about one relationship with your life, with Dr. Niharika. Once you had that public breakup, there was a lot of people who went to her profile and started writing about, the fact that you all had broken up. There is a fandom that you have, and this is across every, I think, famous artist, whether it is depending on whatever gender it is. But somehow it just always seems like a little bit more worse for women, because that's just the way that culture is. When something like that happened and you were seeing it happen, what were you going through? How did you figure this out, whether with her, whether on your own self, in your own head?
I mean, that article was a bit of like the breakup article especially was a bit of an accident. I didn't really intend to talk about it.
Sure.
I was in conversation with a journalist where like they asked me, and that's why as policy I don't like talking about it. I don't like talking about my personal life, especially in specifics beyond a point. Like I actually appreciate the fact that like you accept this, pretty much kept it more about the more about the fact that it's about my songwriting and the process and things like that. And in context of that, like that breakup article also came out many months after we had already parted ways. Sure. And actually like called her up and like said, I'm sorry, I did not mean for this to come out. I'm really sorry about it. Like it's just something that like journalists do sometimes. So, it happens, it's fine,
No,
I guess.
absolutely.
But definitely not like something I intend to do in the future.
Yeah. But does it become difficult to even date when there is public scrutiny on you? And forget that, again, the scrutiny, there's perception also. That, okay, now you are this guy who writes about songs. You also write deeply about falling in love and falling out of it.
Any relationship, what really matters are like the few really important aspects of what keeps a relationship strong. You know, there has to be transparency, there has to be trust, there has to be communication, there has to be love, appreciation, respect. You know, there's these few fundamentals. And if all that is in place, then all this will just automatically become noise. Then it doesn't matter. Somebody else's opinion, some fan saying something, not saying something. It's when those things, you know, are not in place, then all this external noise will start affecting the relationship. If you are like really foundationally strong, then this stuff doesn't matter.
But have you ever faced a situation where women have expected you to serenade them, given the songs that you?
वो तो naturally हो जाता है. कोई ऐसे expectation की बात नहीं है, but I've always been a musician, you know, even before I was like successful and at any level of fame. But you know, in my safe space, that's just like really who I am, you know. I mean, the whole point of me being able to sing in front of people who are close to me, you know, whether it's like my family or my friends and stuff, is the fact that like it has to be a judgment-free space. You know,
That's fair.
the moment I start thinking about the fact that like what are they thinking, it won't be a safe space for me. I should be able to do whatever I want.
Absolutely. My last question actually is because I think this is something I spoke to you earlier as well. Has there ever been someone who is among men who's come to you and said something that has made you feel like, I'm so glad and so proud that I'm doing this?
I remember last year in Delhi, we did these like fan events where I did like really small shows. 100 people, 120 people. And during this time in Delhi, where like this one guy came up and said that like, you know, a few years ago, I'd given up on life.
Oh, wow.
And your songs really saved my life, literally. Like, it's like listening to it is what gave me a lot of comfort and more kind of like peace, where I actually came out of it and felt better. And he broke down in front of me and started crying. Over the years, I've got a lot of that. And I think I get it because, you know, like I've gone through that in myself. Like I have like gone through like dark periods in my life where like music has been like a really strong, like supportive space for me. Where it's like just a certain song or a certain artist, like their discography has just been what has been the only thing good about my life at that point of time. You know, everything feels hopeless. Your day-to-day existence feels hopeless. Your, you know, like future feels hopeless. Like it just feels like kya fayda hi kya hai, kind of. And in that thing, like music has been the only thing which has been the positive light, you know. So, and this is why I love what I do and find purpose and meaning in it, because it's just so powerful, man, you know. And yeah.
Thank you so much, Prateek. I think you're absolutely right. Your songs have given so much, have made, I think I said earlier as well, just made a lot of people feel less lonely, helped them in their dark phases and in some of their joyful phases as well. Let's also not forget that. Before we end, we have these 3 quick segments where the rapid fire, I think you'll really enjoy them. The first segment is called Women Want to Know.
Okay.
Do you feel like in this day and age, 2024, there is a difference between how men comfort each other at times of like vulnerability or quote unquote weakness, and how women comfort each other? And then how men comfort women and how women comfort men.
It's a very complicated
do you think that
question.
there's a difference, and do you think that the difference, if there is one, is justified?
In today's day and age, I think it's definitely reduced the differences in that. Like, I mean, I honestly don't even know, but like I've seen in like movies and heard of people, like definitely it seems like there was a time when men comforting men was just actually not a thing only.
Correct.
Like you said, ki like, you know, man up, ki agar ye karna hai to fir ro mat, you know, men, boys don't cry, that kind of whole thing. You know, like the dynamics like we were talking about, like men comforting women is a different kind of like a thing maybe. But I think it's definitely getting closer.
Yeah.
My go-to ways to comfort is one, like just physically like providing comfort, like literally physically just hugging or like being there for them. Like I think like, I mean, I love hugs. So like I will just do that to people who need it at the time, men or women.
Yeah. I'm going to go to the next segment. So this is a segment called Kind Shoutouts. We are going to read out some phrases, and you tell us a man that comes to your mind when we read this out. The man who is always with you for you.
My dad.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
The man whose music makes you feel less lonely.
Elliot Smith.
A man who you would like to write a song for.
Probably like Sahir Ludhianvi. Have you heard of him? He's just like a really
course.
iconic like lyric writer from the 50s. Like just has written some of the most powerful stuff ever, man.
A man whose lyrics portray masculinity the best.
Elliot Smith again, but yeah, I think he talks about like a lot of issues in a really sensitive way.
The man with the best riz game in Indian music.
I guess right now it has to be like Diljit, you know.
I mean, absolutely. You're absolutely right. What do you like about him?
It's like good energy, man. Like, I mean, I've seen some like I haven't been to one of his shows yet,
Yeah.
but like I think I'm looking forward to go, and it's like good energy. Yeah, it's like
Absolutely.
he's also had such a phenomenal career, you know, from like being such a good actor to like so multifaceted also.
A man in Indian music whose mind fascinates you.
Definitely A.R. Rahman. Yeah. Nobody was doing what he did.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of sound and using technology and like the impact of like his production in Bollywood was to the sound of Bollywood, because nobody was producing music like that. I mean, he's a phenomenal singer,
Absolutely.
like a master melody maker and like composer, and just such a all around like exceptional musician. What he did with his production, like what you hear on like Rangila, is just kind of like legendary.
Outside of you, who's the man who gives the best hugs?
I don't think I've ever got a hug that's better than the ones I give.
Well, that's a fair answer. So I would argue with you on that. Okay, our final section is actually my favorite. It's a section called Men Complimenting Men. It's presented by the Man Company. It's a section where we have picked up compliments from other men who have written nice things about you. So please read them out, and hopefully it'll put a smile on your face.
Okay. He's the kind of guy every girl would want to be with. Understanding, caring, emotionally available, calm, classy, intelligent. Thanks, man. I mean, I don't know about like calm, but I'll take everything else. I was just kidding. No, it's just sweet.
Yeah.
People compliment me so I can keep going. You have to stop me. People create music while Prateek Kuhad creates magic. How sweet. Taylor Swift of India. Nice.
Is this funny or is this
Rainy
accurate?
mood man. It's kind of accurate actually. You know, I get it. Rainy mood man.
Do you like
that's,
Taylor
That's the
Swift?
first time ever. Yeah, I do. I really like. She's a really good songwriter, man. And so versatile. Has such a massive catalog. And like, what I think is really cool about Taylor Swift also is that like she's one of the rare pop stars who actually writes all her own songs, which is like pretty awesome. I remember Vishnu Kaushal. Oh, I know this guy. He's really cool. I remember hearing this song at one of your live shows in November 17. I got back home, Googled the lyrics to realize it hasn't been released yet, waited months with the tune in my head, and that's how lovely it is. Lots of love and best wishes. It's about Cold Mess. Oh, thank you. Actually, it's really, it's true. Like when I started playing Cold Mess at live concerts, it's just like Cold Mess like is one of the few songs which I feel like I knew like the first time I played it at the show, the very first time I played it at the show, people lost it.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that's really sweet. Prateek Kuhad the singer, Prateek Kuhad the soul soother. I agree with this first statement. Prateek attitude is like MS Dhoni doesn't care for anything simple, doesn't think of something himself as something big. Yeah, I guess so.
You guess you have an attitude like MS Dhoni?
I don't know, yeah, but I know he's like also like, you know, has a reputation for being really humble.
This is a nice last one.
Sagar Verma, if the John Mayer lyric, it takes a fool to love you and I'm just a fool for you or a person. But how is this? I'm very confused. How can this be a John Mayer lyric? Like, has he just spelled that? Is that just fool?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
It is spelled too.
This guy, actually, Sagar is like a very old fan. Like, I know him because like over the years, like he's come to so many shows and still like he's really sweet. Yeah.
So thank you, Prateek. Thank you for the work that you do, the music that you make. So many of us have just really loved and respected and admired you, and you made so many people feel less lonely. Thank you for that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
It's much easier to read compliments than to hear them like that. Thank you so much for having me. I had a really good time. Like, you know,
Thank you.
It's always nice to have like these deep kind of conversations versus like surface level stuff. Yeah.
And you've spoken about your great hugs. I'd love to give you a hug
Yeah,
as well, and I'd
absolutely,
love to receive one from you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks, Prateek. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Be a man, yaar.
But usse pehle be a human, yaar.
If you liked our conversation with the wonderful Prateek Kuhad, please like, share and subscribe to Yuvaa on all platforms. Thank you for tuning into BeAManYaar, presented by the Man Company. Listen to the extended and unfiltered conversations before any other platform, only on Amazon Music, included with your Amazon Prime membership.
This Prime Day, catch my latest songs ad-free and the unfiltered episodes of BeAManYaar with Nikhil Taneja, first on Amazon Music, included with your Prime membership. The fact that I'm like, you know, dark-skinned, that was like a thing in school, you know.
In school?
Yeah. It didn't feel like bullying at the time, you know. Everybody just like making fun of you and like calling you names or like, you know. But I think I'd like came to like really like be actually feel just good about normal about that like in my like late 20s.
हर एक इंसान में एक फ्लॉ होता है. आपके अंदर तो मैंने 15 देख चुके हैं और
ये इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है. बहुत देर बाद फाइनली जाके
ऊपर देखो सर.
दूसरों के लिए लाइट हाउस बनो कि आप ऐसी चीजें करो जिससे लोगों को कुछ रास्ता दिखे.
As men, you are capable of love. Show it. It's very simple. You are never prepared how to be a good father.
कोई ऐसा तो है नहीं कोई क्लिनिक में जाके आपको इंजेक्शन लगाना कि अच्छे फादर वाला इंजेक्शन दे दो यार 500 मिली वाला. ऐसा तो होता नहीं है.
Crying is not a display of weakness, it's a display of strength. You are willing to cry in front of your loved ones. बुरी बात क्या है?
अगर आपके घर में छोटा बच्चा है 10-12 साल का, तो आपको उसके साथ कम्युनिकेशन में रहना पड़ेगा. उसको पेट्रनाइज नहीं करना है, उसको डांट कर नहीं रखना है. एक बैलेंस बनाते हुए कि ताकि उससे कुछ गलती हो वो बताए आपको, वो डर के ना रहे, चाहे लड़का हो चाहे लड़की हो.